Okay, today we're going to be looking at Chapter 10, Lesson 3, Area of Triangles. We will use a formula to find the area of triangles and find an unknown measurement for a triangle. So any parallelogram can be divided into two congruent triangles. The area of each triangle is half the area of the parallelogram. So if you look at this parallelogram over here, if I was to divide that in half, that gives me two triangles of equal size and shape. So the area of the triangle is half the product of its base and its height. So before, when we were finding the area of our parallelograms, we just took base times height. So we're saying that triangle would be half of that. So we would take A equals 1/2 B times H. The B stands for the base, just like it was for parallelograms, and H stands for height, just like it was in our previous lessons. So if we look at unlock the problem, we have the Flatiron Building is well known for its unusual shape. The building was designed to fit the triangular plot of land formed by 22nd Street, Broadway, and Fifth Avenue. The diagram shows the dimensions of the triangular foundation of the building. What is the area of the triangle? So we're just going to take our formula, which is 1/2 base times height, to find our area. Always write the formula so you can keep track of the steps and as well as what you're trying to find. So then we're going to substitute 197.6, which is 197 and 6/10, because that is what our base is. And we're going to multiply that by 79 because that is our height. When we multiply those together, you get 15,610 and 4/10. So then our next step is to multiply that by 1/2. Multiplying it by 1/2, if I did 1/2 times 15610.4 over 1, we would multiply that across. So then I'd get over 2. So that's the same thing essentially as just dividing it by 2. So I would prefer to just divide than to multiply across. You can do whichever way makes more sense to your brain, but I'm just going to take 15610.4 divided by 2. Goes into 15 7 times. So 16, you get 8, which is 16, 0, all the way down, 1, so it does not go into that evenly. 1, 0, 5, minus 10, 0. Bring down the 4. Don't forget my decimal place, and it goes in 2 times. So then that gives me a beautiful answer of our area would then be 7,805 and 2/10. So the area of the triangle is 7,805 and 2/10 feet squared. Okay, so they did label that for us in the book, but make sure that if it is not labeled in the book, you label it yourself. Alright, looking down at example 1, find the area of the triangle. We're going to follow the same steps that we did before. So we're going to write the formula, which they have already written for us, but if they had not, you would need to write that. And then we're going to substitute what we know. So we know the base is 4 1/2. So we're going to substitute that. And we know the height is 3 1/2, so we're going to substitute that as well. We're going to turn those mixed, we're going to write the mixed numbers as improper fractions. So we're going to take 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 1 is 9. So we have 9 halves. We're going to do the same thing for the other fractions. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So that's 7 halves. And then we multiply across. So 1 times 9 is 9. 9 times 7 is 63. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So we have 63/8. So then we just have to turn that back into a mixed number. And let's see, we can do 7. Sorry about that, I lost my screen. So we had 63, which we know we can take 63 divided by 8 7 times, and that gives us 56. 63 minus 56 gives us 7. So then we have 7 and 7/8 for our area. So the area of the triangle is 7 and 7/8 feet squared. Alright, let's look down at example 2. Daniela is decorating a triangular pennant for her wall. The area of the pennant is 225 inches squared and the base measures 30 inches. What is the height of the triangular pennant? Okay, so this one, we know the area and we know the base. We don't know the height, so it's going to be a little bit different than our other problems. First, we're going to write the formula. So area equals 1/2 base times height. So we're going to substitute everything that we know, just like we always do. So now we know that area is 225 equals 1/2, always stays, and we know the base is 30, and we don't know that height, so we keep it as multiplied by height. So then we're going to multiply the 1/2 and the 30. So that would be the same thing. 30 over 1, which means 30 divided by 2, which is 15. So we're going to leave that as a 15. And then we're going to use the division property of equality. So we're going to divide both of these by 15 to get rid of that 15 so that h is over there by itself. So 225 divided by 15 is 15. So the height of the triangular pennant is 15 inches. Okay. If all of that confused you, there's another formula that you can use that might be easier for you. If this made sense to you, great, you can move on, don't worry about it. I like to think of it a little bit differently, so I'm going to write a couple formulas on here that might help you if that was confusing. So if we need to know the height of a triangle, so I know you guys know this for the parallelograms, but the triangles are different. The height is the area divided by the base multiplied by 2. Those parentheses are important in this, okay? So then if we're trying to find the base, it would be the area divided by the height. Oops, height, not base. Area divided by the height, and then multiplied by 2. Okay, so you could solve this problem. If we don't know the height, we would look up here at this one and plug everything in that we know. So we have height equals area, which is 225, divided by the base, which is 30, and multiply it by 2. So either way you want to work that out, if it makes sense to you, is great. I would write these formulas in your notes just in case those make more sense to you. You have them for later use.